Welcome to Action Hour. I'm Lindsey Baker. Can yoga stop Yulin? A group of amazing dynamo activists say yes, and they created a global yoga event to help end the dog and cat meat trade. And I'm going to introduce them to you in just a minute. But first, let's watch this clip.
我叫李恒，我是湖北武汉人，从事审计方面的工作。目前呢，在我们就是手上救助了有大概170-180只狗，然后再加40多只猫。
哇，这里还有一只猫，跑这儿来了。
在武汉封城之前，那么我自己家里头大概有10几只、20只左右的狗。因为这些狗都是一些老弱病残，需要特殊照顾的，所以一直就跟我生活在一起。那么后来就突然就是这个疫情爆发，然后武汉这个城市就给封闭了嘛，很多狗都被这个他们的主人就抛弃了。又是被丢的一个狗，乖乖乖乖。然后还有一些是因为主人得了那个新冠，然后被送去隔离救治啊什么东西的，所以那些主人就把他们就丢在那个小区里面。那么后来就听到这样子的消息以后，那么也不能不管他们嘛。你不管他们的话，因为在外面的话，他连食物都找不到。
可怜，你看这个抖啊，不停的抖。
当时就是硬着头皮，其实也挺担心，就是会因为这些狗啊带来病毒啊什么东西的。但是也没办法，因为在看到这些消息的时候，看到这些狗的一些无助的这种眼光的时候。
Welcome to my guests. I have with me here Rayko, Takahashi, Jade Ara, and Sheena Gao. And of course, you ladies put together this amazing yoga event. I believe, Jade, you came up with the concept. And I'm just going to let you briefly introduce yourselves quickly. We want to get right into it. So just tell what you're working on right now and how you all came together. We'll start with Jade.
Well, thank you so much, Lindsey, for having us on your show. It's amazing. I really appreciate the opportunity to promote the campaign Yoga Stops Yulin, which is a campaign that I put together last year officially in 2022. And the idea is to bring together the yoga community to help these dogs in Asia that really need it, and to raise awareness with the international yoga community. So that's the whole point of the campaign, and raise funds and raise awareness and come together for a really good cause.
Right. And so how did you, I'll talk to Sheena next. Sheena, how did you get involved in the project? And I believe you brought in Rayko, or tell us how that all worked out. Yeah, there you go.
Yes. Actually, Jade and I had kept in touch since the very early days when she starts working on this concept. And also, she's really gone like such a warrior about anti-dog meat trade. So I've been keeping in touch, and then she come up with such a great concept. Last year, we tried to work on that and somehow did not work out as we had anticipated for LA sector. So this year, thank God for Rayko, my newest best friend in animal rescue, and she is such a powerhouse. And we talked about it. She said, "Let's do this." So I reached out, and she was working at one of the beautiful place called Rafi Lounge, and she reached out to the owner, and he jumped on board. So that's where I reached out to Jade. I said, "I'm confident this is going to work this year," and that's all happened. One thing that everything just worked out perfectly this year.
Okay, thank you, Sheena. And Rayko, how did the event turn out? Where I'm sure everyone's interested. Tell us a little bit quickly about how the event turned out for you guys. We'll get back into it more later.
It was a huge success. We had 12 vendors that donated their time and energy and brought great craft to make the event even more interesting and to bring the positive vibe to such a somber event. And we raised a lot of money, and people were very, very receptive and encouraged. You know, we are animal rights people, and we are all we're for all animals, but when it comes to domesticated animals, people more gather and people are more interested. So we had a great turnout, and it was like an amazing event.
That's wonderful. I want to go back now because we have limited time and talk and give people who are not aware of the dog meat trade a little bit more information. A lot of Westerners say it's a cultural thing, but in reality, that's not necessarily so. So I have an interview from Jade's podcast, which is Stop Yulin, and we're going to show a couple of clips from that and then discuss it. So I'm just looking for my clips here. Just give me a second, folks. Here we go.
So my question was, what do you think happened between 1995 when the government was not really interested, and 2008 when they started seeing the benefit of this Yulin festival?
Yeah, 1995. Yeah, 1995 when a small number of dog meat traders proposed to have a festival type of or make the commercialization of a dog meat trade. Yes. When they make that proposal, the local authorities was kind of suspicious. Oh, if it's something can bring business to the city, right? They were not so sure, right? That's why they're not so sure, right? And of course, second, dog meat eating is not an honorable thing to do in China. No, right? No. So something, if you say somebody eating dog meat, people will not say it, but they have in their head if this somebody steal somebody's dog is eaten. Often the dog is come from suspicious sources, right? So the government at that time was not sure whether that's the good idea, right? Yeah. Now, second, 1995 to 2008, this period of time was a time when the Chinese economy started to take off. So in other words, in 2008, 2009, 2010, when Yulin was ready to launch this so-called gourmet, it's not dog meat festival. Yeah, first it's called gourmet, event. Okay. To showcase, local food, like different kind of local cuisines, right?
So Sheena, I'm going to ask you actually first to weigh in on this because you are a native Chinese woman, and I would like you to just comment on the idea of the Westerners have about the dog meat trade and how it's part of history. And we'll go around and have everyone comment, but we'll start with Sheena. Unmute yourself, Sheen.
So being a Chinese American, I grew up in China, and China right now, the majority of people don't even know Yulin Dog Meat Festival. I have just talked to another young Chinese lady. I said, did you know there's a Yulin Dog Meat Festival happening June 21st? She said, really? Is it still happening? We never heard of that. I grew up in Shanghai, cosmopolitan city. It's not one of those dish that everyone just find on the menu. I never even heard of dog meat until I come to US. Someone from Western world enlightened me to say, hey, you know what? Have you heard of Yulin? Then I went online and looked at the pictures. I could not believe it, and I could not participating anti-dog meat festival. And being a Chinese, I'm proud to have a lot of amazing culture, but this is not one of the culture. And China has 56 different minorities and over 300 dialects. We have all kinds of cuisine and dishes, and dog meat only remain in 5 regions. Guangxi, which Yulin city is in, is one of the big city that has consumption of dog meat and cat meat. And it's not a common thing. Majority of the Chinese people want ban dog and cat meat. Oh, you're mute.
What did you learn from the interview, Jade? We know we couldn't watch the whole thing, but what surprised you as a Westerner? What did you learn?
Well, that particular interview was one part of a 2-part podcast I did with Dr. Peter J. Lee on his book, Animal Welfare in China. And that's a recent book. It's amazing. I really highly recommend anyone at home read it. It's very informative. I think what surprised me in this book is that the Yulin Dog Meat Festival was first proposed in 1995 or 1998. I mean, way earlier than when it launched in 2010. And I think the other part that I learned is that it's not like, obviously, we all know that it's China's being a very large population. It's not consumed by everyone, but it is quite pervasive. There are a lot of restaurants that do serve dog meat. And from my own interactions with Fita, the Chinese lady that you featured at the beginning of the podcast, I learned a lot because in her area, Wuhan, there are a lot of people that keep dogs for meat. And this is part of their, this is the way it is. For them, they're very poor. And so they see a stray dog, they'll keep it in a cage and feed it to their family when needed. So it really depends. And I see that we have comments from Tom, and he's asking if it depends on the part of China. He was addressing the question to Sheena, but it does depend on the part of China. And some parts of China,
and
it's quite popular. Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to also add that it's not only in China, and it's dog and cat meat. So that gets left out a little bit. Let's watch another clip from Dr. Peter Lee, and then I'll have Rayko comment.
So why 2009, 2010, they started to do this big fair, because, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of resources, China in 2010, let's say use 2010, compared with 1995, was many times, more resourceful. So if a local government wants to launch a big fair, trade fair, gourmet fair, right, event, they have a lot of resources to do it now. And then when they keep, promoting it, then they say, oh yeah, let's do it. Let's include. So dog meat was included one of the stand during that gourmet fair.
Oh, okay.
So that's the case. And also, Guangxi, third reason, Guangxi, even today, is one of the less developed provinces in China. So the local authorities, the provincial authorities, and the union authorities were under tremendous pressure. How can we develop faster to catch up with Shanghai, with Guangdong? So all these different reasons, combination of reasons. And then the fourth one, the local leaders in 2010, 2009 were not members of the Communist, party or government officials who were most, enlightened in a way, or most conscious of the development in the country, right? They did not realize that so many people having dogs, as pets, and you do this, right? So they were less sensitive to that, right?
Okay. And
so I really wanted to show that clip because it gives more of an insight into looking at this whole issue from the other side and perspective. So Rayko, when did you become knowledgeable about the dog meat trade? Tell us a little bit of your journey as an amazing activist with this particular issue. Tell us about your journey with the dog meat trade, if you would, as an
Sure. I have an older sister who had been animal rights activist since the 1990s, like early 90s. And she exposed me to a lot of things. And it was so gruesome that I have to shut my mind off for a long time. But thank God for social media. I think this one particular area of social media is really helpful, that they expose everything and nobody can hide from anything anymore. And I started learning the dog meat trade is just like you said, dog and cat meat trade is not only in China, it's in Indonesia, Korea, Philippines. And I started, supporting all the campaign, like Soy Dog has the billboard campaign and all those things. And when I met Sheena, who has been working tirelessly since, I believe, 2016, I got more of the insight of the dog meat trade and cat meat trade. And I was just I could not believe it. And I really believe firmly education and industrialization in those rural areas of where dog and cat meat are just widespread, the trade are widespread, is really important to really help stop and ban the trade.
Right. I'm going to let Jade now comment on that because you just, yeah, go ahead, please. I'm going to bring up your website.
On this, like, what do you want me to comment on exactly?
Comment on what you learned, what else you learned from the interview, and more importantly, let's comment. That's what I lost the website, so I'm a little thrown here, but I'm going to bring up your website. Let's tell people what they can do about it and talk about the website and the campaign.
Okay. Thank you so much.
No problem.
The Yoga Stops Yulin, my goal with this campaign was really to get the topic, the issue outside of the activist community on social media, because every year I keep seeing the same things happen. You know, people share petitions left and right. Some petitions are good to sign. Some petitions do nothing. And also sharing graphic photos and crying. And I said, well, this is not helping the dogs, you know, like we need to do something to concretely help these dogs. And so why the Yoga Stops Yulin campaign came to be, because as Tom, or one of our audience viewers is mentioning, June 21st is International Yoga Day. And it happens to be the first day of the Yulin Dog Meat Festival. And I felt in my mind that these two worlds belong together. We need to bring the world of yoga to help these dogs and the trade as a whole. We'd gain new supporters that were unaware of this issue. Yoga community often have no idea this is happening, and they would most likely want to help these dogs by donating, by supporting the Chinese rescuers that are featured on the website. There are so many ways you can support this campaign. You can buy a t-shirt. Part of the proceeds will go towards the Chinese rescuers. You can, donate, obviously. You can go follow those Chinese rescuers. They have social media pages. Encourage them, share their posts and, just get the word out. So that's mostly.
We're going to show some more. I just want to clarify, is this the website correct address?
YogaStopsYulin.com. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm having trouble bringing it up. I'm going to play the second clip of the Times story and search for your website again.
我们当时也跟他讲了，就是我们急需找到一个场地，那么安置这些就是救助的狗。他们也很支持，然后就说那你们就赶快去找地方，你知道吗？所以也是经过很多朋友在他们的帮忙之下吧，就在那个武汉的一个郊区，找到了一个农家的一个场地。当时那个 SCPA 他们就给了很大的支持，他们当时就给了我们2万美金的捐款，然后就让我们用这笔钱去建设我们这个小院儿。
那命大，真是命大，要不然老早就饿死了。在那个店里头被关着，当时把它弄出来以后，就那么小的猫吃了满满的1碗的猫粮。
其实我从小是喜欢狗，喜欢这些动物，但是从来没有想过我会自己去收养这么多，完全所有的生活都被这些狗占据了。你像有些人他。
All right, so I was able to get your website. Let's add it to the screen here. And there were a couple of places you wanted to navigate to show how people can get involved. So let's do that right now.
I would say if you go to, well, first of all, I'll bring people's attention to what is the dog cat meat trade page, because it's loaded with information. If you're curious to learn more, it's broken down country per country: China, South Korea, Cambodia, Vietnam. The list goes on. Indonesia, as Rayko mentioned. And obviously, when you scroll further down, you'll see a link to my podcast, which has great interviews. Every video, it has been curated. Some of them are not, visible because it's very graphic. but I tried to curate the videos so that it's informative more than just being graphic, obviously. And the other pages I would like to highlight is in the More section. If you go under More, you'll see 2023 campaign beneficiaries. Yes. And why this page is so important is that I'm, working around the clock doing this, organizing these yoga events, but it's all because of them. It's all for them. It's for these dogs that we want to get into good homes. So we're encouraging adoptions, fosters, sponsors. I'm sponsoring a dog currently, and it makes you feel good because you're part of his care. You're donating towards his vet care, his food, and his well-being. So we have Suki Su, which is one of the 2 Chinese rescuers that we're featuring in 2023. Last year we had 4 Chinese rescuers. Now we just wanted to bring more of the attention on the dogs. So Suki Su has still 120 dogs that were rescued back in 2017 Yulin Dog Meat Festival, 2018 Yulin Dog Meat Festival. And so these dogs really deserve to find a good home at this point. It's been way too long. And they're stuck in China because of COVID, because of many things. And so all these dogs are up for adoption. And if you're interested, you can click on the link and it'll bring you to the page where you can find out more how to adopt, how to foster each one of these dogs. They're so beautiful. My heart goes out to each one of them. And below these dogs, you'll find the information on Fita, the Chinese rescuer that I'm supporting,
Right.
Wild Rescue Society with her dogs. So every dog has a link where you can find out more information, how to adopt, how to foster, how to sponsor.
Right. Let's show another clip here. Sheena, you did a while back, you worked with Animal Hope and Wellness and also World Animal News, and you went over to China. So let's play that clip.
This is Sheena reporting for World Animal News, 世界动物新闻. On June 19, 2017, one of the largest trucks contains over 1,000 dogs bound to Yulin Dog Meat Festival was stopped by Chinese volunteers, made it the largest one-time rescue in history. June 19th is what we call 619. We're here at the clinic. We have 70 intensive care dogs coming from the truck. We have also 400 dogs that's healthy, that still needs care because they have the skin conditions, torn from the transportations. It's really rough condition. The funding is definitely tight because everyone here are volunteers, spending their time here, spending all their effort to come here, taking hours of rides just to get here to help the dogs. This is truly amazing, courageous for the young generation of China. Here I have Peggy. She is one of the volunteers, started from the day 1, June 19th, for the stopping of the truck. She's here to help the dogs, spending so much time from Hong Kong transporting back and forth to help saving the dogs.
I've been here since day 1, Rescue 619. It just breaks my heart to see these dogs being transferred from location to location. I think like a 5-6 location journey. And these dogs are hurt, injured. A lot of them are very sick. We have 60 or 70 here now that need special care.
I think for me, the thing that was the most disturbing, the whole thing is incredibly disturbing. But for me, the most disturbing thing was the injuries of the dogs and how long they had to remain in those small cages without really knowing what is going on or their fate, even though hopefully at this point they are in good hands. I wanted to ask you, Sheena, what it looked like while you were there was a lot of hope. There were a lot of young people that want to get involved. And I'm going to ask both you and Jade this question, then we'll move on to the talk about the event. But what do you think the hope is for the future here? And tell us a little bit about your experience with the younger people. Unmute.
People are much more aware of what's happening and much more conscious about the compassion And more people are owning pets now in China. So they really have a soft spot for domestic animals. So during the Yulin Dog Meat Festival, you will have trucks loading up the dogs stolen from people's homes or stray dogs. They will take them hundreds at a time, shipping them to Yulin. During that time, a lot of Chinese activists will share information on certain trucks going certain direction. Please all go there to block the truck. And they have a standoff with police until they get the dogs. They will never let the dogs passing through until they get to Yulin. So there's always Chinese activists, the young generations. They are, for that particular one, when we got the 1,000 dogs rescued, there are so many young people and rescues all arriving in Yulin, try to take these dogs to their shelters, finding home for finding rescues for these dogs. And when I got there, majority of the dogs were claimed by certain rescues. They were taking 100, 200, some are American ones rescues, some are European rescues. Yeah, definitely there's a shift, a change. Everyone, remember the number, 70% of people from Yulin has never really tried the dog meat. So it's a very minority group of people and interesting eating dog meat. It's older generation, so it will go away. But one dog being eaten by a human is just too many. So we have to fight all the way through the end. We cannot let this continue. I've been working on this since 2015, 8 years later. But there's a good news. I think we all know that actually China, let me see, what was the proper word for the, has passed the law. Passed the law to say that dogs and cats are domestic animals. They are not livestock. So there's no, law to reinforce, to lock people in. So it was just a statement to say, hey, dogs are not food. You should not be eating them. It was just a suggestion. But regionally, they're not getting it. They're not getting it.
Okay, let's let Jade weigh in on that one.
I just want to say that it was not a law, it was a directive, like you said, Sheena, from the Ministry of Agriculture in China. In April 2020, probably, at the height of COVID, they came out with that statement, which they did not have to do. And I spoke to Peter J. Lee about that. And many of my guests on my podcast, some of them were like, well, it meant nothing because clearly it still happens. But it did give, and this is what Dr. Lee said, it gave a blessing to any city or province in China to ban this dog cat meat trade. And many cities have, 3 that I know of. So Zhuhai, I believe, was the first one. Or was it Shenzhen? I think it was Shenzhen, and then Zhuhai quickly followed suit. So May 1st, 2020, they banned the dog cat meat trade. It's no longer allowed for consumption even. So we're seeing progress. It's too slow for most of us, but
isn't it true that a lot of it still goes on because it's done underground, and even it goes on in the US, and so it's quite, at this moment, pretty much not under control of the government. Would you also agree with that?
I would completely agree. And I asked Dr. Lee, what is it going to take? We're in 2023. China has become the second world largest economy. What is it going to take for them to pass animal welfare laws and to crack down on this trade? And he says quite simply, it's not on their agenda. The CCP is mostly focused on growing their economy, becoming the super economy of the world, and they're well on their way of doing that. And for them, any budget, resources, time spent on dogs for something that they feel naturally will die eventually, they don't feel it's worth it. And so that's why it's frustrating for us, but it is unregulated. And so when we say 30 million dogs and 10 million cats a year across Southeast Asia, that's not even close to probably the number. It's unregulated. We have no idea. There are backyard farms, there are people eating dogs all the time that we have no idea.
Right.
So it's much bigger than that. Yeah.
Yeah, we have to move on because, believe it or not, we're already past a half hour. So Rayko, I know that you helped coordinate this event, and I want to get a little bit more into the event and again remind people how they can donate. But first I want to ask everybody, while I remember, to be sure and download UnChained TV. It's our free streaming network where you can watch this show and share it out with your friends, and that's a great way for you to do activism and get people informed. And frankly, not just because I have a show on there, there's so much amazing stuff, documentaries, movies, music. You guys have to watch it, and cooking shows. So please be sure to tune in. But now we want to talk about your event, the Yoga Stops Yulin event. And Rayko, tell us a little bit about how you guys all put it together and whatever you want to share with us about it.
As I mentioned before, or Sheena mentioned, I have been performing my tea ceremony as a certified Japanese tea ceremony master at Rafi Lounge, which is a celebrity wellness center in Malibu, California. It is a gorgeous place, and I thought it would be, well, Sheena and I thought it would be a great place to attract people to come. First, location is everything for real estate and everything, right? So, to hold the event, it should be held in a place where everybody wants to be anyway. So I think that a lot of people came to the event because of that area and the facility. And also moving on, just like Sheena and Jade was saying, the young generations, they are moving away from dog and cat meat trade, and they are, to save first, because changing the mindset of Chinese people, industrialization of China, the rural part of China, education and everything is going to take a long time. And we are actually speaking to the sister city of Yulin, China, which is the Patterson, New Jersey, next week. And then to bring out the idea to help Yulin to ban dog and cat meat trade. But right now, it is happening in Yulin. And what we really, really need to do is to help support the young generation of Chinese people and some older generation who are against dog and cat meat trade to go really do whatever proactive, safe way to stop the trucks from going in, because that really right now is the only way to save lives. But another thing is that I spoke to the owner, and every one Saturday a month, we would like to hold an event at Rafi Lounge to help get those dogs adopted. And I would like to talk to Jade and Sheena more about how we can go about it for the Yulin survivor dogs, so we can have an event that's successful, and then they can get adopted here in the United States.
Well, that sounds amazing. Let's have each of them weigh in on that. We'll start with Sheena. Sheena, go ahead. Did you want to weigh in on that exciting news that she just gave us, or just add anything you want, any thoughts you've been having as we're discussing?
Yeah, that would be a great way. Of course, we're always looking for opportunities to showcase the dogs that's rescued. We obviously do not want to buy dogs. We want to rescue the dogs. There are plenty, thousands of dogs needs a home and needs a loving care. And, they just need to find a space and the venue that allow us to get the word out. I mean, thank you for Rayko. She's always finding a way to get the dogs exposed to the public for loving homes. So yeah, we're always looking for opportunities for sure.
Absolutely. Jade, would you like to weigh in on?
Obviously, amazing idea, Rayko. And I have to say, I want to really thank you to, like, Sheena and Rayko. You've done amazing. Like, you actually elevated the campaign to what it could be. And if only we could, clone you, we'd have yoga events like this everywhere in the world, and it would be amazing. So thank you. What a great suggestion. And let's go with that.
Okay, so Jade, talk a little bit more about yoga, the big picture of what you see this going forward, global yoga events to stop Yulin, et cetera, and bring awareness to the dog and cat meat trade.
Yes, well, as I mentioned, I had the idea actually in 2019, and I was supposed to do the event with a local Montreal yoga studio in 2020, but of course, pandemic hit. But my idea was to rally people that would share the vision because it could become huge. And I've approached this year, I started a little bit earlier, so I approached a lot of yoga celebrity teachers, and there's Forest Yoga. Shout out to Anna and Jose. They've been amazing supporters of this campaign. They're sharing it on their social media. There's also Boho Beautiful. They have a YouTube channel with like almost like 3 million followers. They're on board. They're gonna give a class. And so for me, the idea is like build momentum, get the word out that this is a campaign that you can participate in. And if you care about dogs and you're a yoga teacher and you want to offer a class, please reach out to me. We want you. We want as many people participating as possible because that's when you can make a difference and an impact, you know?
Yeah. And what I want to ask each of you now, because this show is all about taking action. And what I think you three of you are great examples of how each of us can use our creativity to make this world a better place. In particular, we're talking about animal rights here, so we'll focus in on that. But just very briefly, because we want to show another clip, etc., before we finish and give you guys some time to talk. But briefly tell us how you think people give some input on that about using your creativity and activism. I'll start with Rayko first.
Okay, so my full-time job is I work as a in-house music composer and studio musicians and vocalist for 2 Los Angeles library and publishing companies, and I do a lot of work. In fact, I got a 5-year contract with this publishing company writing particularly about animals, farm animals and shelter animals, and
Wow.
voiceless. So it was a really rewarding a moment for me. And also I am, as I mentioned, certified Japanese tea master. And Zen, we do not believe in any violence, any killing, anything. We do not intentionally kill anything. And so when I do tea ceremony, I always bring that awareness to people that killing any sentient being is wrong. And I was able to turn 2 students to vegans last year, and my husband to vegan last year. And I will continue to do my work by using my music and my tea ceremony.
Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
doing that.
Thank
That's amazing. Sheena, why don't you go next?
Okay, so
Go ahead.
I'm not at the level of composition like Rayko. She's an amazing musician. I'm a violinist as well, so I have been using my violin. Played at an Animal Rights Day the first time participated and on Santa Monica Pier, and I played some of the somber music, to reflect our inner compassion and empathy. And I've been participating a lot of animal rights activities. As far as I visited 5 different animal rescue facilities in China with Peter Lee's suggestion, Dr. Peter Lee, and Jade was talking about. And I was working with Dodo Animal Project, Andrew Gang, and they are just spearheading. The last couple of years, of course, the pandemic, so we took a back seat. We weren't sure what happened with the Yulin. And this year I'm back and stronger with the support of Jade and Rayko. So I just revisited the subject that never have gone away. So yeah, doing the music, doing activism, and get the word out. Back in the days, we have a group of friends, and we hang out all the time, like sisters and brothers. Now, majority of them are vegan now. So I'm so excited. We are changing. Once you see the suffering, feel the empathy, you can never look back. You're going forward and start to educate other people for change. So I've been vegan since 7-8 years ago, and will continue to promote a lifestyle, healthy, compassion, loving for all sentient beings.
I want to show people before we run out of time the clip when you went to China to show how many dogs ripped from their homes. Many of them are languishing, the lucky ones, in shelters. Let's watch this.
Yeah.
I just want to thank Tom Vincel, who is always a loyal viewer, and he is asking. I think we already covered this question. He asked several questions, and I think we already answered this one as well, Tom. But thank you for watching. Yeah, guys, we are just about out of time. I'm going to go ahead and go around quickly. Rayko, if your last words you want to share with everyone, go ahead. Oh, unmute.
Okay. So just keep spreading the words. That is, the word of mouth is so important and so potent and so strong, stronger than you think. So please, the petition is necessary, even though, just like Jade says, some of them are not, can't reach to vast majority, but keep spreading the words. Just like Sheena said, not everybody knows about the dog and cat meat trade yet. So spread the awareness. And, just like I said, if you are in China, education, industrialization, just help support those rural areas to be educated and to industrialize themselves. And I really believe that really is the three key factors, sorry.
Thank you so much for being on today. I'd love to have you on another time and get more into your background, etc. Sheena, let's have you go next. Go ahead, and anything you want to share with everyone.
I echo Rayko what she was talking about: education, progression into a enlightened society. But another thing I want to point out is working togetherness. United, we will win. If we're fighting against each other, calling out someone didn't do the right thing or didn't supposedly doing the right thing, it's just no win. I mean, there's no perfect way. We all in our heart do our best. We're only human. Get out and do what you can to save the animals. And another thing is, don't keep on bashing, posting the pictures, China as a whole. No, China is not an issue as a whole. It's only pocket group and areas that need to be called out, need to stop torturing animals. So as a whole, is a lot of Chinese people, as I said before, majority of people support ban dog and cat meat trade. So we want to offer solutions and help to spread compassion, not bashing and call out and demeaning words. That's never a positive way to change the world. So work together.
Absolutely. We have to have mutual respect and compassion. And that's why I think that video podcast that Jay did with Dr. Peter Lee was so informative, because you have to look into the way others think and get into their skin. And that's the best way to be able to reach them. Jade, go ahead. It's your turn. Any last words you want to add, and any plug for helping to promote this
Well,
further. Yeah.
I second everything that Rayko and Sheena said. Yes, it's not about anti-China. This campaign is nothing to do with anti-China. It's about anti-cruelty, anti-dog cat meat trade. And whether it happens in China or elsewhere, that's what we're against. And just like get out there and do something different. Use your talents, use your ideas like I did with the yoga community, but maybe you're into golf. Like you could do the same thing with golf or, you know, whatever you're into, dance. Reach out to your community like I did. Come up with new ways of helping these dogs because we can't keep signing petitions and doing the same old thing. It's not really directly helping the dogs. So let's put our brains together and work together. And most importantly, let's be kind to each other and support each other because nothing good will happen from bashing, like Sheena said. And I think that's just, you know, not going to accomplish anything positive. And lastly, I do want to say, please donate to the campaign if you can, like whatever amount you can. The 2 Chinese rescuers, the money's going directly to them. And this is something that you can directly impact the dog's life, you know, because every penny will go directly to those 2 Chinese rescuers. It's going to be split 50-50, and they can do so much good work with that money. So please be generous. I'm sure the link will be shared, but you can donate. It's yogastopsyulin.com.
Yes, and we'll be putting links at the top. We'll be putting several links at the top of this for people to further investigate your podcast, etc. So we're just about out of time, but I do have one more very important question about these dogs in adoption. How is that on your website? I think we did cover that.
Yes.
Website.
Every dog on the website, the 2023 campaign beneficiaries page, every dog has a link and you'll get more information. If you're interested in adopting, please do. You know, these dogs are ready to be in a home. Like they've been rehabilitated to the point that they can join a family, and we'll give you more information. We'll be happy to.
I just want to add a couple of things. One thing is about 120 dogs is still in the Suki's care, and we're also hoping for foster. I'm actually on the board of Animal Hope and Wellness Foundation. We need people step up to foster or adopt. We cannot bring any dogs in because they deserve. They have been sitting in the shelter for the past few years. So we need to be adopted and foster. We find a foster, then we can actually bring the dogs here.
Who do they contact?
They can contact me if they are interested in fostering dogs. So we can.
We'll put a link. We'll put a link to you at the top where people can email you.
Yeah, sheenagao@yahoo.com. And one more thing, 21st is the first day of Yulin, which is only 5 days away. And I'm wearing this in China. If someone dying or you're in memorial, you wear a black on your arm. I'm wearing this for all the dogs, you know, being killed and tortured to death and boiled alive for them. And we're fighting for them every single day, every year until this atrocity is ended.
I'll join on that.
Yes, thank you.
I think everyone should wear an armband on that day. Yeah, that'd be great. Get a trend going.
Conversational
piece. Well, thank you for watching, everyone. And this will be available on our streaming network forever. So please share it with your friends. And let's help these ladies, help these wonderful animals that don't deserve to suffer. And we'll be back next week. So ladies, thank you for being on. We're going to end now. So
thank you, Lindsey. Thank you, Lindsey.
Thank you,
everyone.
Thank you.